Stop with the questions. Celebrate.
And then they say, is Donald Trump an intellectual? Trust me, I'm like a smart person. Yosemite's one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Mike Lindell's a conspiracy.
Well, you haven't. Person, woman, man, camera, TV. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy.
Amazing.
He can't sit down. He's got a burning in his butthole. He's got a fire. He's got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Big, massive dumps.
Oh, I have a term for that. I call it corporate communism.
Somebody sent me a thing this morning where they're talking about putting the vaccine into salad dressing.
You see, this is a simple meme that you would find on the internet, but this meme is very real.
You ain't seen nothing yet until you see the flaming butthole.
Putting us on our knees to China.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
It's like a Sharknado, except with poop.
What's up? Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Around the Nation right here, Waldorf Nation. Got a fun show for you today. We've got some interesting stuff. We've got updates, of course, in the Ahmaud Arbery trial. Very interesting defense strategy that they're using. Scary black man. We're going to get to that. That is a frustrating story. We're going to talk about that. And will it work? That's the important question. Will scary black man actually sway the jury? Interesting. We also have more updates, of course, on what the Capitol rioters were up to, including weapons. We also have some consequences for bringing voter fraud lies. So that's fun. As always, we got MAGA Karen. I just love the MAGA Karen story. It's fantastic. And of course, Mike Pillow. Fun times. So I love these stories. We're going to have some fun. Let's do it. Oh, before we do, like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. It helps us out greatly. Now we can start. All right. So a federal judge has ordered 2 Colorado lawyers who filed a lawsuit late last year challenging the 2020 election results to pay nearly $187,000 in legal fees towards the groups that they sued over the big lie, over the voter fraud nonsense. Oh, we had mass voter fraud, so much voter fraud. Okay, prove it. Oh, shit, we got nothing. Oh, absolutely nothing. Surprise. Now, the 2 lawyers, Gary D. Fielder and Ernest John Walker, had actually filed a class action lawsuit in December of 2020 on behalf of, get this, 160 million voters. Huh. Wait, okay. 160. Now, I'm going to break down the math, because this is interesting. So, now this class action lawsuit was brought on behalf of 160 million American voters and alleged that there was a complicated plot to steal the election from Trump. Wow. Okay. They argued, of course without evidence, that there was a scheme engineered by Dominion Voting Systems, Facebook, more specifically Mark Zuckerberg, not just Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg himself and his wife. You know, because I guess if you're going to engage in crime, I mean, the couple that does crime together stays together. And as well as other elected officials in 4 states. And so massive conspiracy as always. They had actually sought about $160 billion in damages. I'm guessing one for, every voter. $1 billion for every vote. I don't know. This is insane. Now, of course, big issues. We got some issues. Some red flags here. So notice, I keep harping on the number, 160 million voters. How many people voted in the 2020 election? Less than that. About 159 million ballots were cast. Now, it just so happened that you had more of them that went to Joe Biden than Donald Trump. That's how it worked. Biden got more of the popular vote in some of the more important places, electorally, I should say, as it pertains to the Electoral College. Of course, the Electoral College is a disaster. We should get rid of it. Nice little remnants of slavery there in Jim Crow, but nonetheless, that's how it works. That's how our system works. So more votes in certain places net you more electoral votes. You win the Electoral College, and then also Biden won the not only did he win the Electoral College, but he also won the popular vote. So that's kind of how it shook out. What was it, 81 million votes for Biden, 77 for Trump? 77 million for Trump? Is there 77 or 71 million? I can't remember the exact figure. But, all right, the point is, the guy is claiming to represent more people than actually voted in the election, which, again, super odd. Very strange. Weird. So it's no surprise this case had actually already been dismissed back in April by Magistrate Judge N. Reed Norrider. So, but it went further. In August, Norrider also ruled that the attorneys had violated their ethical obligations by filing this nonsense, bogus, bullshit lawsuit in the first place, arguing that the duo had run afoul of legal rules that prohibit the wasting of time in court, or basically doing these nonsense, frivolous, bullshit lawsuits and lying to the court, lodging information in court that isn't true, again, lying. Now, at that time, the magistrate also called their suit lazy, conspiratorial, filled with lies, and added that it was, quote unquote, the stuff of which violent insurrections are made. Yep. Judging what happened on January 6th. Correct. Now, before ordering them to pay the legal fees of all the many entities that they had sued, the new ruling made on Monday also ordered the pair to pay just over $11,000 to cover the legal fees of the states of Michigan and Pennsylvania. Thank you very much. We'll take that. Both defendants of the suit, a dollar figure the duo agreed was fair. However, the two lawyers were mad about giving Facebook money. Now, these three entities, Facebook, Dominion Voting Systems, and the Center for Tech and Civic Life, an election reform advocacy group that has received funding from Zuckerberg and Chan. So let me just say, they actually asked for a lot more money. I'm going to give you how much money they asked for a little bit. But let me just say that Facebook doesn't need this money. And Facebook needs less money. In fact, I think Facebook should be broken up. I think all these tech companies should not be as large as they are, should not have as much control over our system, over our discourse as they do currently. And nonetheless, right, I'd like to see the money. And this is $50,000 that Facebook is asking for. $50,000. I'd rather see that go to somewhere else. Just saying. Now, Fielder and Walker are going to pay $50,000 to Facebook, $62,930 each to Dominion and CTCL. And Norrider argued that the billing records submitted by the group shows the fees were reasonable given the prominence of the lawyers who worked in the case, the amount of time they spent. So basically, well, Facebook, they're rich. They can hire really, really great lawyers. And that worked out for them in this case. I can still argue that Facebook can afford good lawyers. Just saying. They really, really don't need that money. But I still agree that there should be penalties for bringing these bogus nonsense lawsuits. Now, I want to give you some of the quotes from the ruling, because this is fun. As officers of the court, these attorneys have a higher duty in calling that requires meaningful investigation before prematurely repeating in court pleadings unverified and uninvestigated defamatory rumors that strike at the heart of our democratic system and were used by others to foment a violent insurrection that threatened our system of government. They are experienced lawyers who should have known better. They need to take responsibility for their misconduct. And he added that the hefty fees were appropriate given the severity of the violation and because the lawyers, and this is important, the lawyers had solicited donations from what he called the arguably innocent and gullible public to fund this suit. So this makes me think of Steve Bannon and We Fund the Wall. So Steve Bannon's a crook. He's a literal criminal, pardoned by Donald Trump. And yet, you know, he went and the reason, of course, that he got in trouble in the first place is because he did this scam fundraiser to build a wall on the southern border, and he just took the money and he put it in his pocket. Literal thief. And now these guys are going out there saying, oh, no, yeah, we got evidence. We can definitely prove the election has been stolen if you just give us money. Just give it to me. Give me donations. Give me donations. Yeah. Yeah. Now, he also said, he had also weighed whether the penalties could chill future legitimate lawsuits. That is, of course, a concern, but then concluded that the repetition of defamatory and potentially dangerous and verified allegations is the kind of advocacy, quote unquote, that needs to be chilled. Again, when you look at this, I can't help but agree. Yes, penalties. We should have penalties. We should chill this sort of just nonsense. It wastes their time, our money. We're paying for this. And it's nothing, and I'm nothing but chasing nonsense, bullshit conspiracies. If you have evidence of the fraud, please submit it. I want to see the fraud. Like, honestly, I don't want election fraud. I don't want voter fraud. No, I want us to have free and fair elections. So please, if you have evidence that proves, without a shadow of a doubt, that, hey, man, there's somebody manipulating our elections, I would like to fucking know. Because I would like the problem to be solved. I want everybody's vote to be represented. I actually want us to be able to believe that our vote has power. And to have trust in the system. And to have other people have trust in the system. But it's not happening. It's not happening. There is no voter fraud. Okay? There is no widespread electoral fraud. It's just not happening at the level that certain people think it is. There are individual cases of voter fraud that have been exposed. Mainly it's been right-wingers. But, you know, which is pretty ironic. Oh, no, we were just testing the system. Yeah, I know, we were just testing it, making sure that everything worked, and it turns out, yeah, it actually worked. Yeah, no, because it's incredibly rare, and we actually do have robust systems in place already. So, and again, if they had evidence, they would have presented it already, and they haven't. And it's pretty clear the reason why. So, no, all of this is, what this is fundraising. That's what it is. It's fundraising, it's online clout chasing, it's real world clout chasing. And of course, it's because of, mainly because of the Republican Party is the party of Trump now. He makes, by the way, not just Trump, but Trumpism makes otherwise learned people dumber. That's what it is. That's what Republicans have turned into. The majority of GOP electeds are actually well-educated people. But, and of course, so are the lawyers, right? But you have right-wing disinformation, you have delusion, you have clout chasing, you have money, monetary incentives that have sapped people of either their dignity, sense of reality, or any, you know, I guess any morality that they might have had. It's like watching people go into a cult. Except it's millions of people, and some who are in power. And it's amazing to watch in its scope, but also incredibly horrifying at the same time. Now, one more thing. Now, the lawyers aren't the only people that are in trouble, going to pay up. And in fact, you have a federal judge in Michigan that has ordered Sidney Powell, remember the Kraken lawyer, Lynn Wood and others could be financially, that judge ordered them to be financially penalized and referred them for grievance proceedings that could result in the loss of their licenses. In June, a panel of judges in New York also suspended Rudy Giuliani's law license. I know, it's so very sad. Yes. Arguing Trump's personal lawyer had communicated demonstrably false and misleading statements that amounted to an ongoing threat to the public. Good. I do want to see more officials face consequences for flat out lying and deceiving the public. And that's what it is. It's a deception. It's a gigantic deception leading people to false, not only to false narratives so that other people can profit, but also, as we've seen in many cases, violence. Let's start to see a little bit of accountability. That's all I'm asking for. Okay. I refer to it as the love of money. Yeah, I mean, that is certainly the cult. You could say that it's also capitalism, essentially. That's what it is. It's what drives a lot of this, capital. But that, gets into a further discussion about, just how destructive that whole thing is. But I think we already know here. Let's move on. A Capitol rioter has admitted to investigators that he was intending to use deadly violence, deadly force towards a member of Congress had they been able to cross paths. So this is according to Politico. Mark Mazza, a 56-year-old Indiana man, had brought in a loaded firearm to the Capitol riot, and that's what he's been charged with. And he had suggested to investigators that he had intended to kill House Speaker Nancy Pelosi during the chaos. So, according to charging documents in the case, 2 Capitol Police investigators visited Mazza at his home in Shelbyville, Indiana, on March 29th, and he admitted to being at the Stop the Steal rally, and later on went to the Capitol, where he had fought with police. Camera footage there shows Mazza present during the hand-to-hand combat phase of the whole thing in the Capitol's Lower West Terrace tunnel. When talking to the investigators, and he just comes out and says this, he says, "I thought Nan and I would hit it off," meaning Nancy Pelosi. Mazza told investigators to prepare to finish their interview, and then added, "I was glad I didn't, because you'd be here for another reason, and I told my kids, if they show up, I'm surrendering. Nope, they can have me, because I may go down a hero." So he's just saying, like, yeah, I went there with a gun. I was going to shoot Nancy Pelosi. And hey, I'm glad I didn't run into her, because she'd be dead right now. And I would be a hero. You know what you'd be, though? You'd be the opposite of a hero. Again, there's nothing heroic about doing political violence. And look, I'm not a fan of Nancy Pelosi. She's barely holding together as it is. What kind of a hero would you be for basically murdering an unarmed, barely together old lady? Like, that's insane. That's insanity. What are you doing? But they don't care. They don't care. They don't understand. This violence is all they know. It's all they understand at this point. It's really fortunate that none of these people found any of the politicians that they were literally gunning for. Again, I don't like Nancy Pelosi. I don't like Mike Pence. Okay? I'm not a fan of either of them. I think they're destructive in their own ways, politically. But I am happy that they escaped unharmed. That's not what we do here, political violence. Okay? It's not the way to solve our problems. Only as a way to defend ourselves. But again, this guy is not the only one. Though there are reports of rioters charged with carrying firearms, they have been limited. But yet, still, the number has been steadily climbing of those who were armed with guns. They were armed with weapons. In fact, the former DEA agent had brandished his service weapon outside of the Capitol building. A Texas man was charged with bringing in a handgun as well. And leaders of the Oath Keepers were charged with conspiring to prevent Congress from certifying the 2020 election. Even though they are not facing firearms charges, there are prosecutors that have pieced together enough evidence to show that they might have been keeping a stockpile of weapons at a nearby hotel so that they could go back and get them if they feel like they needed to. Rioters also brought knives, axes, batons, tasers, bats, poles, a crutch, and a hockey stick. Okay. Others stole police shields, used metal barricades and furniture as makeshift weapons. And that's in addition to the growing number of firearms authorities suspect were carried onto Capitol grounds. So, yeah. Well, there you go. They were not tourists. These people were not tourists at all. And I keep saying this. Not tourists. Oh, no, accidental tourist. I was just in here seeing art. Oh, I was just in here protecting the muffins from the other rioters. Oh, no, yeah, totally fine. I was tasing Michael Fanone to save him from the other rioters. You know, just tasing him so that nobody else hurt him. Ridiculous. Absolute ridiculousness. God damn. And let me tell you what, they should be really lucky. They are damn lucky that they were not black or indigenous. Could you imagine what they would have done to water protectors, or Black Panthers? We don't have to imagine. We had those situations where they send in to a pipeline protest maximum police force, maximum force, and they crush them, burn tents at Occupy. And yet, Capitol, nope, you're fine. Just come on in. Oh, now, okay. Now we're gonna fight. Now, okay. Well, sure, but we're gonna use the kids' gloves. And when charging you, we're also gonna use the kids' gloves. But again, imagine if the Black Panthers, they wouldn't have even got past the door. They would have been mowed down by Capitol Police. And you know what that is? That right there is the biggest example of white right-wing privilege. The fact that they are still alive to stand trial after what they did, that's a privilege. That is a privilege, what they have. So the worst thing here is not just the attack, it's the fact that there are people that are out there defending these people who brought weapons with the intention to use them. Again, not just handcuffs made of that, those zip tie handcuffs or anything like that. No. Actual guns, firearms. But yet you have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, Paul Gosar, Lauren Boebert, and of course, former President Donald Trump that continue to defend them. And then you got hosts like Tucker Carlson. And then you have other hosts that are just not flat out defending them, but saying, not a big deal. No, it's small time. There are much more important things to talk about. No, I agree. There are important things to talk about, but this is also really important as well. So, just saying, don't downplay this, because this was important, as well as pipe bombs, as some of you point out. That's true. That's very true. But you look at conservative media about this, what are they talking about? Well, something else. They're talking about Sesame Street. That's what they're talking about. They're talking about Rittenhouse and how he's such a hero. Oh, what a wonderful hero. They're lionizing the guy. That entire case was a goddamn tragedy. Whether or not you believe it was self-defense or you agree with the jury that he was innocent of murder, That entire thing is still a tragedy. No one should at all be lionized for this. And yet that's what they do. That's what they do. There's only a few Republicans out there. And of course, the Republicans out there are still terrible people. Let's just understand that. But they are willing to challenge this. And these are people like Liz Cheney. Again, terrible person. Don't agree with her on almost anything. But she's actually out there getting kicked off of, out of her party as a result, out of her state party, because she's not kissing Trump's ass. Adam Kinzinger. Yeah, again, not a great person politically. Don't agree with him. But he's also facing ramifications. And so, and then, of course, you have Joe Scarborough, which is very interesting because I remember talking about Joe Scarborough back in 2015, 2016, when he was kissing Donald Trump's ass. But you know what? Credit to him. He reversed course. He reversed course. That's actually something that I think I should give him credit for. I know, low bar, but you know what? I think we should all at this point, we all have low expectations. Okay? Low expectations. Nonetheless, I want to show you what he said about this case on his own show. So let's do that.
Here we have another person who was there with a gun, proving what liars those Republican apologists are, saying that they just look like a bunch of tourists. This criminal defendant said he went to January the 6th with a gun, and if he had found Nancy Pelosi, they'd be talking to him about something else completely differently. And this whole idea that people were going after Mike Pence and saying, hang Mike Pence, that somehow that was just like a football cheer or something, or people screaming, Nancy, where are you, Nancy? Were just people who, no, it's very clear this wasn't a group of tourists. There were people inside this group that were mobs, rioters, who wanted to find and kill Nancy Pelosi and wanted to find and kill the sitting vice president of the United States.
Yeah, it wasn't just, hang my pants, all right? No, they wanted to kill the vice president and to shoot AOC, Nancy Pelosi. Actually, there was even a plot in Michigan related to this. And that was kind of the precursor to kidnap the Michigan governor over COVID stuff. Over, COVID restrictions. They meant business. They were serious people. And I know I make fun of them a lot because they're also idiots for doing what they did, but they're dangerous idiots. And enough dangerous idiots in one place is dangerous. So, again, everything that he said there was true. So I give him credit for one simple reason, right? He's one of the few Republicans who didn't take the Trump money. I'm sorry, now he's an independent. And look, as much as, again, I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that, he stands for politically, he didn't take the money. And that is really interesting. I mean, there's a lot of cash, there's a lot of money and power in embracing the Trump wing of the Republican Party. That's where the entire Republican audience went. You want to talk about audience capture? That's where it went. Now, Morning Joe did not go there. And so, again, I give him credit for that. Okay? But he's also at MSNBC. Now, MSNBC is not liberal at all. They're certainly not leftist. They're barely kind of liberal in some respects. The closest thing they have to a left perspective, or I should say a center-left perspective, is Chris Hayes. So, not really all that leftist at all. But see, here's the thing, though. Fox News was always right-wing, always conservative, except now they went hard right. They went fash right, like Tucker Carlson. Because he knows hard right is where the audience is. And so again, Tucker Carlson, as I talked before, about before in Tucker Carlson's career, he was an absolute failure before he went to Fox. Getting fired. He was on MSNBC, he was on CNN, and he got low ratings. Super, super low ratings. So, then he decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pretend to be a right-wing populist. I'm going to pretend to be for the average man, the average person. Ah, yes, those regular people. I'm Swanson heir, but regular people. I'm looking out for you. Except that I don't actually look out for any of you policy-wise. I'm just going to fearmonger about immigrants and tell you that woke culture is destroying your life. Yeah. So, and look, I can't forget also the fact that there's so many never Trumpers, right? These so-called never Trumpers would, drama, it's so bad. Lindsey Graham's a great example, right? Oh, if Trump takes the party down, we're going to go down with him, right? What is Lindsey Graham doing? He's half kissing Trump's ass and then half lightly criticizing him. So, come on. They took the money. They took the money. Now, again, Joe and a few others, they didn't take the Trump money. And so I know it shouldn't be praiseworthy for people not to sell out. But at this point, again, very low expectations for media figures, especially conservative ones, and even lower for politicians. Looking at you, Chris Christie. What are you doing, dude? Like, we all know you're a clown. Oh, no, I'm going against Trump. Trump, you lost. I'm Chris Christie. I'm running for 2024. Oh, shit. No, he thinks it's going to help him run against Trump. He's only looking out for his career. He's a goofball who, again, sold out. He got completely unmanned in the most hilarious way against Trump during the 2016 primary. And showed up like he was in a hostage video behind Trump, hoping he'd get a VP slot. Come on. We all see through Chris Christie. We all saw through Ted Cruz. All saw through Lindsey Graham. We know they're all in it for the clout, all in it for the money. Mike Pence and Chris Christie have no chance. It's true. Very, very true. Yeah, the Republican Party despises Mike Pence now. Oh, they hate him. They hate him. So bad. Good. Ted Can Cruz is a spineless, hypocritical loser. Also true. Good old flying Ted. No one can ever forget the picture where he was phone banking for Trump. So good. Let's see. Mehdi Hasan was a political editor for the New Statesman. He was pretty far left back then. Sadly, New Statesman moved to the right under the current editor. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Democratic Party's thinking of adopting Mike Pence, and that makes me want to vomit. Nah, no way. Fucking Democrats.
Mike Pounds.
If that's true, I have such, I was talking about low expectations, right? Democratic Party, you have to have the lowest expectations for the Democrats. Fucking disaster. Just so sad. That's who we got. That's the bulwark against fascism. We're screwed. We're so fucking screwed. Oh dear God. It's depressing. So depressing. I'll tell you. Yeah, Stephanie Rule is terrible. She sticks up for the banks. Ali Velshi has his moments. Certainly, I've given credit to Mehdi Hasan before. His questioning of the Iraq War was fantastic. So there are some good, there's some really good moments, but they're not, nobody on MSNBC a socialist or even a democratic socialist. So that's my point. All right, let's move on. I think it's fair to say Graham was emasculated by Trump, turned him into a sniveling little worm of a man. Graham is all about those spectacular Trump face. Oh, no, well, Kentucky Progressive Dragon, you're right about one thing. He is a sniveling little worm of a man, but he's always been that way. I remember, Lindsey Graham did this with John McCain as well, back when McCain was alive. He's always been this way. He's always been a weak little bitch. And so Lindsey Graham hasn't changed. The only thing that's changed was, was the ass that he kissed, essentially. Rule is complicated. I've seen her have some leftist takes, but then she missed the mark terribly in other ways. But she does propaganda for Capital too. So look, I haven't seen any, I haven't seen any lefty takes from Stephanie Rule. I'll look that up. I will, because I am kind of curious to see, but I'm not expecting much. And if that's true, by the way, understand that this country is overwhelmingly progressive. The people are overwhelmingly progressive, the voters, and they want these lefty, policies, these policy positions. And so odds are, if you've got somebody on MSNBC saying something like that, it's because they know that's where the majority of the people are. Okay. Now let's get to MAGA Karen. All right. A woman carrying around a Trump flag at the Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport got into a little bit of a confrontation over some cell phone recording. In a video posted by the Twitter account Dave A New World 2, the Trump supporter can be seen walking up to a woman at the airport, holding her phone, apparently taking video, and this is what occurred after.
Are you recording me? Do you have permission to record 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 me?
Well, you don't have permission to smack people.
I don't care. She don't have permission to record me. That's okay. I already have a lawsuit. I have a lawsuit.
Oh, wow. Talk about some issues. I already have some lawsuits. Don't worry about it. Laughing as she gets taken away. Ah, yes. Okay, so I don't think I need to say this, but let me just clarify the law. Because there are so many people out there, especially those in the right wing, that don't seem to understand what the law actually says. I mean, it always makes me think of like, HIPAA violation, you can't know my vaccination status. Yeah, you actually can. You can ask about their vaccination status, it's totally fine. You can also record people in public under certain circumstances. In fact, you do not need permission to record a person, and of course, some of the laws vary state to state, obviously, but as long as they do not have what is considered an reasonable or expectation of privacy, meaning that you're in a public place. If you're out in the open and you're doing something, you're being a moron, you're waving a Trump flag around, or you're waving, like, even if you're waving a Biden flag around and you're being a dipshit, then yes, somebody can record your dipshittery and put it up online so they can laugh at you. Nothing illegal about that at all. So, and that's different, by the way. If you were, for example, somebody's in their house and you're a little creeper who's taking their phone up to the window and recording in their house, that is definitely illegal. Or a private office, a taped conversation, for example, okay, where you would have a reasonable expectation of privacy. And there are, of course, different rules. For example, in the airport, you could have a rule that says, well, no, we don't want you recording people in the public space. Well, that just means that they could boot you out, but you're not going to get arrested. So it's not a crime to record this woman without her permission. No, totally legal. You know what's not legal? Well, she just found out, assault. Because that's what that is. I love the timing on this. It's like, the cops are like, as soon as she slaps away the phone, this cops are like, oh, no, you can't do that. You ain't got permission to slap, to do that. To smack people. Couldn't have been better. Could have been better. And again, it makes me kind of wonder, what were you doing before this? What was she doing? Again, you don't go around filming randos for no reason. She had to have been doing something. She had to have been up to something. That Karen, very sus, okay? Nobody's out there waving a Trump flag around in an airport. Nobody doing that is up to anything wholesome. Let's just say that. And I'll say that with any flag, by the way, and not just a Trump flag. But again, if you're waving around a Biden flag, you're waving around a pride flag, a trans flag, whatever, and you're in an airport and you're causing a scene, you're causing a ruckus, you don't get to get mad at people for filming you. And so the whole purpose that I assume that this woman was up to was to cause trouble, to be allowed to be disruptive, to be an ass. Now, I'm not saying all Trump supporters, by the way, or voters are like this person. Obviously not. But I'm going to guess that that kind of thing does kind of run deep in this fan club. She was being filmed with lag because the filmer knew something great would happen. Very true. Very true. Like, oh, wait, guys. Something stupid's about to happen. Get your camera. I love it. Oh, that's good. That's very good. I love that. That's one of my favorite comments. Well done. Well done on that. If I had anything to give you, I would. All right. Wow. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Sus is just short for suspicious. That's it. Suspicious. Very sus. Very sus. And it's been popularized by Among Us, so, which is basically video game equivalent of like Secret Hitler, I think. Yeah, that's what that's based on. Either way, sus. Very sus. All right. Let's move on. Get a mic pillow. We got some pillow talk. Today is the day, they've heard. Mike Pillow is supposed to file his lawsuit. Will throw down the election of Joe Biden, the illegitimate election. Which means it's time for another episode. Pillow Talk.
God gave me this platform. I already know I'm going to win.
China did our vote. Biden and Harris would say, hey, we're here to protect the country, and resign.
Mike Lindell's a conspiracy.
But you haven't.
Just forget about the evidence. This was attacked.
Ah, yes. Week of Thanksgiving. Here we have MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell, who should be filing his lawsuit at any time now. At any moment. Maybe. Possibly. Let's check in. Let's check in. Now, before we do that, Lindell is on the record. There is video of him where he was promising that there were multiple state attorneys general that would sign on to this massive, epic lawsuit that was supposed to be filed today in court. But on late Tuesday morning, he had to reveal that so far he had not filed with the court. Now, wait, I thought he had all the attorneys general that he needed. But he couldn't name them. He couldn't actually say, oh, no, I can't actually tell you because then you're going to go and attack them. But don't worry, we got them. They're standing by. They're right here. Okay, they're waiting for this very, very day. But no, I'm going to show you that he's earlier today went on Steve Bannon's podcast, who for some reason is still not in prison, to go and move the goalposts once again.
Do you think that, and I want to call it an artificial deadline because I know you're trying to herd cats, right, with this complaint. But is it the deadline? Is it the deadline itself, or just walk us through the process? Because people are kind of on tenterhooks about how this rolls.
That was the date I put in there. Obviously, this is their complaint. I put this in because I wanted to put pressure on there to have the complaint so we can go through it piece by piece. And I put this date on it. Now, I've had many AGs yesterday. I was on the phone with 4 of them yesterday. And some of them have so much going on right now that, last Friday, they gave them till today to fighting these mandates where kids had to take the vaccine. And that was in many states out there. That was went very public on Friday. You have a lot of things that are happening out there very suspiciously, almost trying to slow these guys down. And but we'll have it is kind of like herding cats. You have different ones at different levels. Well, I do have a couple, which I don't want to announce right now, that said straight up, we're not going to do it. And it's a shame. There are states, a couple that are very disturbing, that they gave no reason. We don't want a part of this. We don't want to help save our country. They didn't say that outright, but I mean, what else would it be? I don't get it.
Wow. Okay, then. There was a lot. There was a lot there, and it was pretty incoherent. I met many AGs. I talked to 4 of them, and then there were ones that said that they weren't going to do it. Maybe it's because they hate the country. Very, very disturbing. But we're going to do this. We're going to do this, but we didn't do it today because we had COVID, and we had all the things that were getting in the way, and then there was the deep state and all that stuff. I mean, why wouldn't they help save our country? I don't know. Now, the answer to all of this is very simple. Because Mike Lindell's insane. He doesn't have anything. He doesn't have anything. He's got nothing. And by the way, I don't think he has any attorneys general. Okay, to be fair, maybe he's got a couple because some attorneys general are insane. Because the Republican Party, insane. Now, the party itself has fallen off a cliff into madness. And yet the rest are like, no, dude, let it go. Let it go. This is embarrassing. Stop. Just stop, man. Stop. And again, the goalposts. Once again, the goalposts. Now, here's the thing. Steve Bannon knows that this is bullshit. So why does Steve Bannon keep letting this guy on the show? Again, there's part of the clip that I didn't show you where he's like, oh, you're always welcome to talk about this in my show. Come on in. Well, not only is it content, okay, some nice little filler, but you also have, and he mentioned this, he's like, oh, you've got something lined up for Thanksgiving, which is going to cause all these arguments on Thanksgiving Day. Oh, the family, they're going to fight each other. Isn't that great? Oh, we're going to get the families that are going to argue over Thanksgiving with your nonsense conspiracy theories. And so what? What's the ultimate goal here? Distraction. I think it's distraction. That's what it is. Mike Lindell, I'm sorry, not Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell's a useful tool. He's a patsy. He's doing this, because he literally is one of those true believers that has his brain melted by Trump. Steve Bannon wants to distract people so he can do a fast takeover of the United States. He and his friends. Either that, or he wants to just make money off this division because it is very lucrative to set two sides against each other and make money off of it. And so, yeah, just like he stole from the people who gave to the We Build the Wall project, he stole millions of dollars, put it right into his pocket, and, well, he wants to probably do that again. So, yes, he's like, yes, fight over, no, like, fight with your right-wing uncle. Yes, we just want to see people fight on Thanksgiving while I pick their pocket. I don't know, that's my, what I think is going on, anyway. That's my little theory of what's going on. But as far as Lindell, again, moving the goalposts is all he has. So he's going to do that. Oh, it must be those people. It's the deep state. It's insert random enemy here. And also now Republican state attorneys general are against saving the country, saving America. And also they're busy and whatever. No, it's because Mike Lindell's a lunatic. And that's it. Absolute lunatic. All right, here we go. One last story for y'all. Okay. Closing arguments in the trial of the three men accused of killing Ahmaud Arbery have actually wrapped up today. So now, one of the arguments made by Gregory McMichael's defense attorneys literally received an audible gasp from the courtroom after her description of the 25-year-old black man who was murdered. Now, there's actually a couple of different defense lawyers that are going to give their testimony. One is on video. We'll get to that one. But first, we're going to go to the worst one, and this is Laura Hogue. So now, Laura Hogue is the defense attorney, as I said, for the McMichaels, and she sought to paint Arbery as a quote-unquote recurring nighttime intruder. So, now what is she referring to? Oh, he's a recurring nighttime intruder. Well, apparently he checked out that house that's under construction several times. Oh no, what a crime. What a horrible crime. Certainly worthy of the death penalty, oh yes. Well, at least that's what you think if you're the McMichaels. But here's what she said. Here's her actual quote. Turning Ahmaud Arbery into a victim after the choices that he made does not reflect the reality of what brought Ahmaud Arbery to Setia Shores in his khaki shorts with no socks to cover his long, dirty toenails. So just think about that. Let that sit. Let that kind of marinate in your brain for a second here. Okay, what they're trying to say, what she is saying, what kind of mental image she is trying to have you paint of Ahmaud Arbery. Khaki shorts, no socks, and long, dirty toenails. Oh, God. Some pretty evocative language here, okay? What do his toenails have to do with anything? Absolutely nothing. What other choices that he made? And again, that's the whole point of the defense here, is to say, well, it's Arbery's fault. He had it coming. He had it coming. Hogue suggested to the jury that Arbery would still be alive had he not run away from the McMichaels and William Roddy Bryan. You know, the two men with guns and two trucks. Well, here's the thing. What right do they have to run up on a guy jogging in the neighborhood and point guns at him? Oh, but you understand, Georgia has this law, right, that all the way, goes back to slavery and is essentially, to capture escaped slaves, which no longer is on the books. Yeah, but this, this law allows people to go and do a citizen's arrest. That's only if you have or see someone in the commission of a crime. So, Was Ahmaud Arbery in the middle of a crime? No. No, they couldn't prove that at all. He was in the middle of jogging. But she continued to blame Arbery, saying that there were two sets of decision makers on February 23rd. It is not just the McMichael's decisions that led to this tragedy. No one but Ahmaud Arbery made the decision to either reach for, he was reaching, oh, he's got something in his waistband, better shoot him. Or certainly gave the very real impression that he was reaching for a handgun, of course. And no one but Ahmaud Arbery made the decision not to stop when Travis's truck rolled up beside him, Hogue told the jurors. Jesus Christ. So, I mean, immediate victim blaming. Let me get this straight, okay? So let me just kind of lay this out. He's making the case that McMichaels, who chased a man for over 5 minutes with guns and trucks, because they assumed that he was up to no good, even without actually seeing him be up to no good, and that it's Arbery who possibly made a move, putting his hand in his pocket or reaching for the waistband. How often have you heard that one? To defend himself, that it's the McMichaels who were actually defending themselves against him, that they are the ones in danger. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh, but they do go on, by the way. Because the defense's strategy here is simply to play on white fear. In fact, Hogue said this: Greg McMichael's driveway decision wasn't the only decision that set this tragedy in motion. Ahmaud Arbery was not an innocent victim plundering through Larry English's house. That's the house that's been under construction at that area. Now, here's the thing, though. Was anything stolen? No. Especially not on that day. And even if there had been, was that worthy of a death sentence? Was that worth shooting a man 3 times with a shotgun at close range to death? Is that worth it? No. And by the way, if you call law enforcement if you have evidence of a crime. That's what you're supposed to do. But no, they decided to take the law into their own hands, to play vigilante. And this is what happened. Now, there's more here. And this is a different lawyer. This is a defense attorney, Jason Sheffield, who is then going to point out how this used to be a wonderful community before those people moved in or near.
Heard about Satilla Shores from several witnesses who came to talk to you about what they were experiencing in this once idyllic neighborhood. A neighborhood that was once a place where elderly would walk at night, kids would play after dark. But over time, how that began to lessen. And Travis began to notice it, among others, about how things in the neighborhood started to change. This neighborhood was being covered in suspicious persons, in extra watches, in neighborhood patrols, in concerned citizens. It was everywhere. It was on Facebook. An account created so neighbors could help each other. And the types of things that these neighbors would talk about to each other was about the crime that was being committed to them, to their neighbors, crime that they had seen happening across the street from them, crime that some was reported but not all. You heard a lot of people talk about, I didn't call the police because what's the point? Crime is over and the people are gone. But they told you that what was happening in their neighborhood scared them. It caused them concern. It was unsettling to imagine people lurking and sneaking around your property at night so that your cameras are going off, your doorbell camera's going off. That's frightening.
Wow. He also said that the neighbors were very scared before Arbery was killed by McMichael. Very, very scared, very frightening. A black man. And there it is, by the way. Early on in that video, he said this was an idyllic neighborhood. It used to be. You know what that's code for? White. That's what it was. Oh, first it was good, and then it changed. We ended up having more black people sneaking around and lurking in the dark. I mean, they had to be black. I mean, they're sneaking around in the dark. That's what they do, right? Look at Arbery, a scary black man, long, dirty toenails. He's looking into unfinished houses. He must be up to something, right? The McMichaels, they had no choice. They saw posts on Facebook from their neighbors, and they decided to do something. Oh, yes, and Arbery, who could blame the McMichaels for thinking that Arbery was a dangerous criminal? And by the way, he reached into his pocket. Do you remember the waistband? He could have had a gun. He might have had a gun. You don't know if he had a gun. Maybe if he had a gun, he could have killed all three of those people instantly. These three armed men who had guns pointed at him, but no, super black man strength and speed and agility. They would have had no shot. No choice. No chance. They had to do it. That's their entire defense. There were so many racist tropes about black men in this defense. It's so obvious. Again, let me point them out. Being scary, for one, right? Because that's the trope. Like, oh, black men, they're big and scary, right? Oh, they're physically imposing. They're also dirty. They're also inherently criminal and sneaky, and they're shady, and and if you aren't careful, they will use their superhuman strength and speed, and they'll kill you all. And also in this case, by the way, the biggest crime of all is being a black man who dared to jog in a white neighborhood, and that's what it is. Their entire defense boils down to, this guy was asking for it. He was just asking for it. Ahmaud Arbery, asking for it. Shouldn't have been there. Should have just followed directions of the rando white guys chasing you with guns. Oh, you were running? Why were you running? Oh, you must have been guilty. It's such a disgustingly transparent attempt at playing the majority white jury, playing on their fears. Remember, the jury has 11 white people and 1 black person. 1. Now, that doesn't mean the jury's racist. That doesn't mean the jury's going to come down on the side of white people. No. What we're saying one of the big issues is there's not a lot of representation. And it would have been nice in a case like this, especially because Arbery is not there to defend himself. So I am kind of concerned that this play would actually work and be effective. Because understand that I just said I don't believe that the jury is, I don't know who they are, but I don't believe that they're racist. I don't believe most people are racist, but understand that there are things like implicit bias. And that's what they're trying to play on. Implicit bias. They're trying to make you think, oh, now wait a minute, if I were in that situation, I might be scared too. Fear is the mind killer. Always has been. And if all the defense has to do is present Arbery as somebody who's scary enough, physically imposing enough, despite being unarmed, outnumbered, and trying to flee the situation, if they can still try to convince the jury to not listen to the evidence, to not listen to, the facts, but to listen to their gut, to listen to the fear that they might have, because maybe they don't. I don't know who these jurors are, but maybe they don't know a lot of black people. And they play on this fear and this implicit bias, bias that people have when they don't know other people. I hope the jury does not go in that direction. I hope the jury goes in the direction of making sure that they understand that Arbery was a victim. He was a victim in all of this. Unjustly chased, lynched, murdered. And so I think it's very fairly obvious to me what had happened here. And again, I hope the jury makes the right decision. The 5 minutes Arbery spent trying to evade the Bubba says it all, says Aline Novak. Absolutely. He fled. He tried to run for 5 minutes. He ran away from them. So leave me alone, leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you. I don't have to talk to you. I don't have to talk to you. I'm just going to go. I'm out. Please leave me alone. Stop chasing me. And they still wouldn't stop. They still said, absolutely not. No, I'm going to come after you. We're going to come after you. And that's it. Until you follow our commands. Not even police officers. Doesn't matter. All right. The law is supposed to be primarily about facts, and the defense is going full on with emotion. Exactly. And I hope I'm not the only person that had noticed this throughout this defense. We'll see. All right. So that's it. That's all I got today. Please like and share the stream if you haven't already. Really appreciate it. I'm going to read some super chats here. You've all been very, very kind and generous with that. So I want to give some shout outs and thank you for those. Now comes the awkward part of the show. All right. Let's see. We have a lot of people to thank. Tyler Hackner, thank you for those. And for the corrections, of course. Dango Bango, thank you again for the numerous donations as well. People would have hunted down and dealt with extradition on the way. In the days of Apollo 1-6, remember Antifa self-defense dude, right? That's true. Remember that. Tyler Hackner, Jonathan Leiter, thank you again for that super chat. Gabby Mathis, thank you for the super sticker. Really, really appreciate that. So thank you so much. Why is Steve Bannon given a megaphone in the soapbox? It's because he's wealthy. Fortunately, that seems to be all you need on the right wing. Tempadan 918, thank you for the 100 bits over on. All right. So that's it for today. Thank you all for going around the nation with me. Please like and share, as I said before. Really, really appreciate you all. Much love. Thank you all. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. See you all tomorrow.
Mike Pounds.
I have not loved this conversation.
Please clap.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.